Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Hey Ray, hey Grace, hey Bruce. I know people are gonna slowly come into the room while you guys are doing that. Let me go ahead and thank my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting my content. A special thank you to my VIP patrons, Daniel, and also Ray over there at ROTDT Podcast. So if you guys are not subscribed to his YouTube channel, make sure you do. He has some really good content over there. Also, tonight I have on my anti-status tea. If you would like to grab those, I do have the link below in my description box. All right, y'all. So we are running a little bit behind schedule. I've been having some computer problems tonight. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into everything. Hopefully everyone's week is off to a pretty good start. Hey, Theta. So first of all, we're going to Black introvert coming in being messy already. First of all, I wanna, cause y'all know I've been keeping y'all hip to some of the things that has been going on as it pertains to the virus. Y'all know that I would never go as far as to classify myself as like anti-vaxxer. However, I am just very skeptical of big pharma. I'm skeptical of big tech. I'm skeptical of big government. Hence my anti-status shirt. Okay, I think when especially when you have a lot of these agencies and organizations working in tangent, you just it's just some stuff start going on, okay. You have sometimes nefarious people in high places. You start getting the money involved, you start getting the agendas involved, and so I just have a very healthy skepticism. And with that, I've been kind of keeping out abreast of some of the things that's been going on with the coronavirus. Now, one of the huge things last year is that when the coronavirus was first hitting here in the US last year, I was briefing y'all on some of the studies that were coming out of other countries because I just don't trust the American media. And I'm not the only one, okay? I'm not the only one that's apparently um, having this distrust with the media, all right? Even if we look over here, this is at opentheword.org, but it's actually according to an Oxford University study survey. Americans trust the mainstream media lowest in the world. The world, Craig. The world. Okay. According to a recent survey by Oxford University Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism, Americans have the lowest trust of the mainstream media of the 46 countries surveyed. 46 countries. According to the survey, less than a third of Americans, 29%, said they completely trusted the mainstream media, with 44 stating that they did not. This 15% trust gap was the highest of the country surveyed and revealed that Americans have the least trust in the mainstream media. Now, why I'm saying it is because there's some things that's going on with this virus, or no, let me clarify, or let me correct. There are some things going on with this experimental inoculation, this experimental jab, okay, that is not really being reported to the levels that it should. And I think even in some ways, I've kind of been talking about these things, but I really haven't went super hard. I I really haven't, right? And I think part of that does come from, you know, when we've created this culture, and I don't know if this is just like relegated to America, but we've almost created this culture that presenting the truth and the stats, when it's anything outside of mainstream media, they're gonna label it with some type of label that boxes you in. So y'all know I've always talked about like the isms, the issists, the phobias, right? Like as soon as you even mention, even skew a little bit from any of that, you're kind of boxed in. So now they're trying to box you into like the conspiracy theory, the anti-vaxxers, and all of this. But every single thing that a lot of us that are just, hope and seek to be truth tellers, has been based on actual data and very healthy skepticism based by what we've seen before. So this is according to like what's going over in LA, right? LA County recommends indoor mask wearing as Delta variant circulates. So y'all know recently they've been talking about, oh, the Delta variant is coming, it's on the way, you got to get prepared, we don't know what's going to happen. The city of Pasadena Tuesday joined Los Angeles County health officials in recommending that everyone, regardless of vaccination status, wear masks indoors due to increased circulation of the highly transmissible Delta variant. According to the LA County Department of Public Health, Delta variants comprise nearly half of all variants sequenced locally in the week ended June 12th. And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has noted that Delta variants are now responsible for about 1 in every 5 new infections across the country, up from approximately 1 in a 10-week before. Due to the rate of the spread of the variant first detected in India, because y'all know they have been talking about India a lot. Okay. Health officials have issued a strong recommendation for people to wear masks indoors in settings such as grocery, retail, theaters, family entertainment centers, blah, blah, blah. All right, I'm going to link that below if you would like to finish reading this article. Now, where the problem comes in is, how long are people going to continue to do this? How long are people going to continue to live in fear? How long are people going to continue to ignore the data that is right in front of them and be basically like media hypnotized zombies at this point? People will ignore some of the things that they're seeing right around them that makes sense for the narrative that's being given to them through the television. So this is a study, okay? This is according to UK data. UK data, right? Uh Here's some information here. Vaccinated people, you're barely going to hear this now. You're barely going to hear this from your American media. And I just showed you, based on actual survey, most of y'all don't even trust them anyway. You already don't trust them. So in some regard, we should be assessing some of this information that is coming out of these other places, okay? Um, a report published Friday by the UK government agency Public Health England reveals individuals who received a COVID-19 vaccine are more than 3 times likely to die from the Delta variant than unvaccinated people. If you were vaccinated, let me say it again to make sure y'all can hear me. Vaccinated people are more than 3 times more likely to die from the Delta variant than unvaccinated people. So for some people that, let me clarify and break it all the way down. It appears to be, and this is not the only research that's even available on this, but it appears to be that people that have relied on their God-given immune systems, which your immune system has a function unless for some reason you are an actual person that has those underlying conditions, which we know that people that have died from COVID, most of them, literally majority of them had four or more. And four, that's not like a small number when we're talking about underlying conditions, right? Diseases and all these other things. Four or more underlying conditions, okay? So unless you are one of those people that's like terminally ill, actually has all these underlying conditions, okay, you have a God-given immune system that as over time has proved to, even in this case, as this study that we're going to continue looking at, has shown to have some benefit. And for us to automatically act like these doctors and these scientists are God, want to play God, or whatever the case may be. And don't get me wrong, yes, I do believe that doctors, nurses, health professionals do absolutely have a place and a time. So I'm not going to take that away. But what has happened a lot in Western medicine is the money becomes before the people. And most of y'all know that. You know that. Whether you want to admit it or not, whether you feel guilty, oh my God, I want to help save science, I want to, whatever. Most of you know that a lot of times, and it doesn't make sense to me. These will be the same people that'll push um anyway, but and that's one of the reasons why I as often as I can also talk about women going back to home birthing, taking some of that power back, not giving all of that power to the state and to big pharma, right? I think at least 1/3 of all women that have a cesarean don't even need it, right? But they're not going to tell you that they're doing this for a time, right? We got to get you in, dues, get you in, get you out. What's being covered on the insurance is all these other factors that come into play in these decisions that these doctors make, whether you want to believe it or not. Um, and I've seen, okay, as somebody that has worked in the medical system for several years in a different capacity. I wasn't working in a hospital. I've seen how the money can work and how it could go. And when doctors trying to also hit quotas, okay, just like a salesperson, doctors are also trying to get quotas, get to a certain number, see a certain number of patients. So, but anyway, okay. A briefing title SARS COVID-2 variants of concern and variants under investigation in England. And this is in England. The survey is coming out of England. Examine all currently known variants of COVID-19. Regarding the most dangerous variant, the Delta, the UK government admits vaccinated people are 3.25 times more likely to die than those who did not take the experimental shot. Experimental, that's still a very important word. This shot to this day, okay, this experimental medication has not been formally approved by the FDA. Even to this day, still experimental. Out of 117 total deaths occurring within 28 days of infection, 44 of them were unvaccinated individuals. Charts show one of the deceased have received their first vaccine dose within 21 days of dying, and 19 of them received one vaccine dose more than 21 days before passing away. 50 people 50 people who died from the Delta variant took both doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. Now look at this next sentence, right? In total, 70 out of the 27,192 vaccinated individuals in the study died, which is a 0.26 mortality rate. Now, uh you're going to have some people that look at the number 70 and they think, oh, 70, it's for the freaking greater good. You should die and just let us inject this into you. And, it's for science, it's for humanity. Sell your body to science because it's technically what it is. And what they're saying, sell your body, give yourself, sacrifice yourself to science and the greater good, right? So you'll have some people that'll look at this number, 70 out of 27,000. Oh, that doesn't seem like that much. That's actually a higher mortality rate than the actual COVID-19 itself. It's already a higher mortality rate. If we're going by numbers and we're going by percentages and stats and what actually matters. Meanwhile, 44 out of the 53,822 unvaccinated people in the paper died, resulting in a 0.08 mortality. So look at this, y'all. This is crazy because if you actually look at this, the number of unvaccinated people that died with this mortality rate is actually similar to the mortality rate of the people that died from COVID last year. It's on par with what we saw before, right? And we know once you start looking at, some of these flu cases disappeared. There were already suspicions about, are some of these things being counted as COVID-19 and things like that, which could, make the numbers a little tricky. But this should be on every freaking news cycle. The mass hysteria. Okay, and I have the full report here. If you guys want to take a look at it, the full investigation with all the charts and data that talks about the surveillance, the attack rates, reinfections, effectiveness. Is your nightly news going to sit down here and show you these charts and break this down to you and really explain it and give you the mortality rates and the data? I highly doubt it, okay? I highly doubt it. But LA is already prepping you mentally. Oh, let's go back into scare tactic mode, right? Let's go back into scare tactic mode. Just put on the mask. Oh, just get the vaccine. Oh, just do what we say without thoroughly. It's all fear mongering and it's all fear tactics. And as someone who spent 2020 living life and traveling and still working and hugging my family and knowing that the majority of people in my age group that do not have uh, uh, terminal illnesses nor all of these underlying conditions would most likely fall into the same range of people that even if infected with COVID-19 would be asymptomatic. Yet we completely stopped the world. You have so many people that went through depression that are going to deal with that. Okay. You have so many people that were isolated. You have so many people that this fear was instilled with them. They refuse to take off their mask at this point. I think the long-term effects that we're going to see from this, both psychologically with a lot of people and also economically, this is possibly the biggest wealth transfer. And we haven't even begun to see all of the destruction that's going to come from that. We haven't really hit the bottom of that yet. Numbers matter. Data matters, okay? It's a reason why they only focused on the ticker of, if y'all remember, every single day you couldn't get away from it, the ticker of all of coronavirus cases. Cases, right? Even though probably literally 90% of those were practically asymptomatic, about 8 to 90%. But they focus on those cases, right? And I told y'all the story about my brother-in-law and my niece and my sister, right? My brother-in-law lost taste and smell. My sister and my niece had absolutely zero symptoms. Went into the doctor. Oh, your husband has COVID-19. You got it too, and your daughter has it. So they were people like this were counted in those on those tickers that you were seeing everywhere, plastered everywhere. You couldn't get away from, right? Some people that have taken this vaccine, I fear everybody's not going to be affected by it the same way. This it's not going to happen, okay? You're going to have some people that will probably be completely fine, and I do understand that. But when we have put healthy young people that were not an actual risk factor, when we're willing to experiment on people and sell our children and our youth to science. I literally just saw this on Twitter, a video, and I wish I would have had it pulled up for y'all. A video of this lady, and maybe I can't actually do it. Let's see if I of this lady talking about how her 12-year-old daughter was so excited. They were so excited to have her take this vaccine. Now this girl is in a wheelchair. In a wheelchair. Let me see if I can show it to y'all. Get it pulled up. But the link, some people have gone to, I just, I have yet to have one person explain on the data that we've seen in a very convincing way, particularly for young people, how this just made sense as a good decision to allow your body to be injected with this experimental vaccination. I just have not, and I'm gonna play this for y'all. Actually, I got it pulled up here, a little bit of it. Volunteered and are excited to participate in the trial, as it will help us all return to normal life. My husband works in the medical field, and I have a degree in electrical engineering. We are pro-vaccine and pro-science, which is why we agreed to let Maddie and her two older brothers volunteer. All right, so y'all kind of see her talking about some of the things that her daughter, this 12-year-old girl, went through, and she goes on to talk about how I think she went to like 3 different doctors, and the other people were trying to diagnose her with like anxiety and like some of these things she was like making up in her head, or it's really this, or it doesn't have anything to do with a vaccine, right? Even the people who say uh causation is not something, y'all know the saying, I can't think of it right now, right? But you'll say that for the vaccination, right? You'll say that for the experimental inoculation, but you didn't say that for people dying from COVID. It was automatically assumed. You had people dying in motorcycle accidents, and it was like, oh, had COVID. I think if I remember correctly, they even said like George Floyd or somebody had COVID. Like, why? Like, really? Really? And so this was a choice. A mother made a choice. You chose, you drove to the vaccination site. You drove to the vaccination site. You had not even just that one daughter, 3 of your children injected with this inoculation, this experimental medication. And unfortunately, now one of your daughters will possibly have to suffer the consequences for the rest of her life because you wanted to sacrifice your child. That's what this was. You sacrifice her body for science. And I feel bad for children that have parents that are using them for pandering, virtue signaling, or maybe even pushed so far by the media to feel some type of guilt, or to just in a lot of ways be misguided. I posted this video on Instagram. I think this was last week. One of the Migos, one of the guys from the hip hop group, the Migos, was talking about how he was tricked because he said he went and got the vaccination and he literally did not know that you can still get COVID. It doesn't stop you from getting COVID. And now, according to this research that I'm presenting to you guys, that Delta variant is looking like it's gonna hit some people. It's looking like it's gonna get serious. And a lot of these people that thought they were gonna be spared because they put their faith in the same people that any other year you would be like, eat the rich, or the medical system is not fair, or don't trust the government. But as soon as they put a little spook on you, as soon as they put a little fear tactic, as soon as they y'all remember we had people passing, they were showing us propaganda. They were showing us videos. This all started. They were showing us videos of people passing out in the middle of streets in China, being boarded up in their homes, for that to actually be a translation of my very healthy brother-in-law missing his freaking taste and smell for a couple of days. That was the overwhelming symptoms of the majority of people. But this all started with programming, propaganda, and fear tactics. And it's not to say that, unfortunately, and I think I probably know a couple of people who lost family members, right? Due to this. And so I never want to even, take away from the fact that there was real loss happening, right? But to just throw a overall, this is what everybody needs to do, and even as not giving people that individuality, individual freedom, and room to make those personal decisions for themselves, their family, their businesses, that some people have been in business for years and years and years that are now closed, to not evolve over the practices or what we were doing as more truth came out is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Even to this day, they're still talking about 6 feet. You will still walk into stores and you'll see the signs that say 6 feet. It been came out months ago that 6 feet, technically based on the science of how they came up with that, was erroneous. That's not even enough distancing to protect nothing. So even that was erroneous. And the information came out, and I know it came directly, I believe, from the government. I can't remember Dr. Fauci's exact like interview about it, but this information was made available and we talked about it when it came out. You just got people out here living and moving about on stuff that's not science. It's not especially not science if you're not accepting the evolving, truthful, okay, after time has passed, this is what we learned, this is where we're at with it. Bruce, when the economy rebounded in 2020, midterm polls didn't look good. It was time to roll out Delta variant and inflation. Agenda 2030 is back on track. Oh my goodness. You know, I don't know if it's, maybe I might be like kind of in a bubble or like possibly in my own kind of like echo chamber a little bit, but I think it seems to me that they're kind of losing, and this is to Bruce's point, right? And maybe that's why they're kind of trying to jack up the fear mongering again, but it's seeming to lose its they're losing a little bit. They're losing. I mean, it's warm outside. People were already in the house last summer. It's warm outside. These jobs opening back up. These restaurants opening back up. I mean, the airports are ridiculous. I don't know if y'all have been to an airport lately, but you wouldn't think these people missed a beat. I mean, completely. It looks completely different than this time last year. So I definitely think they're losing. I definitely think they're losing their grasp. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Mr. Ryder Walker. Thank you so much. Um, but when you actually present people, I don't know why numbers, I don't know why the truth is so offensive. I don't know why it's so offensive. And then the crazy part about it is I I actually want people to live and be healthy and thrive and not be lied to, manipulated, coerced, and used by Big Pharma. And that used to actually be a liberal position because liberals wanted liberty. But, it's 2021 and there's some things going on. And I just, I guess you just get in where you fit in at this point. I mean, I remember one time I was on a plane, had my little mask on, and somebody on the plane was passing gas, y'all. And I'm like, I know these masks don't work. I I'm like, first of all, you just nasty and you just rude. And just because you think people got masks on, don't do that, okay? Don't do that. But I'm like, if I can still smell the perfume, walking past people in a grocery store and all this other stuff going on, common sense. Something in my head is just like, Viruses are tiny particles. This just common sense. This just, and I'm really supposed to believe that this is saving me from some life changing, excruciating, the world is ending, dwindling virus. Come on, y'all. Like introverts must have been a spirit for like Jupiter said, remember, big old grandpa is doing bad. So midterms, oh, Biden is doing bad. So midterms are next year. So they got to pull some type Jedi trick. LOL. I mean, it's no telling what we about to see. And I was just talking to a friend today, and he mentioned how it's crazy how literally last year everything everything was Black Lives Matter. You couldn't even get away from it. Everything, everywhere you turned, every day on TV was Black Lives Matter and protests, right? Now that's done evolved into Asian hate and pride, and people ain't even noticing. People not even saying nothing. They're not even addressing it. People have literally just went into la la land like it doesn't even matter. I'm bothered by the hypocrisy and the manipulation. That's the part that bothers me, particularly people who try to guilt me into, oh, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you must want this to continue to happen. Y'all really think, and we're going to talk about this a later time, maybe I'll do content about it this week, but they're literally increasing the police budget. And Joe Biden's not even hiding it. He's on record saying we have to give more money to police to stop the crime. They created the problem, and now they're going to give us the solution. They're going to package it like a solution, but it's not, because we know they want to say, oh, we got to swoop in and save you, not only to make you more dependent on us, but the only way we can save you is by taking guns from good people, because we definitely can't take them from bad people, because we can't even get the drugs off the street. Like, let's be for real. We can't get the drugs off the streets. We can't combat human trafficking. We have so many people missing. We can't fix what's at the borders, but we can definitely save you from gun violence. We can definitely do that. I guarantee it. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. This man has doubled, possibly tripled. Not only that, we were walked right into, y'all watched that little, and I talked about it right after. Very suspicious about what went on at January 6th. It's very hard for me to believe that this just casually happened, right? And all these people were at one of the most pivotal, most notable places in the entire country. Something like that was allowed to go down with the levels of security we had. I spoke about it then. Some of this was very suspicious. Then videos came across my radar of people being allowed and escorted into the Capitol. And now all of a sudden, magically, mysteriously, we have this law getting ready to come through that only now wants to hold white supremacists accountable, but also want to hold y'all anti-capitalists accountable. Also want to hold y'all anti-globalization accountable. Also want to hold y'all anti pretty much anything the mainstream media or big government says. If you get too extreme with it, whoa there, buckaroo. We know we campaign on that whole Black Lives Matter thing, but so the same people that were pushing for these things, they played y'all. They played y'all. They played you. Not only are you about to be censored more, not only are you about to be surveillanced more, but you're also about to be held accountable more. They played you down the middle and split the difference. So it's enough to go around for everybody. And this is why I tell people to have a standard. Stop supporting things you don't actually support because, oh, well, it's the other side. Oh, we got to own them. And if you were here with me last week, I showed the graphic. I literally broke it down. You even have they're saying extremist animal rights people, extremist anti-government or anti-capitalist people. Who do you think those people are? Anti-capitalist and human rights people. If we're putting people in a box and labeling people, those are going to be your progressives. Those are going to be what we will call in modern day more liberal people. You got played. You got played. And then you're going to have harsher, stiffer penalties than you would have had just this time last year. You got played. And anybody that's not familiar with the new legislation that Joe Biden just came out with, I did a really great breakdown of it last week. Go check that video. And I tell you the truth about what's going on with that. And something I always tell y'all, you have to be very weary. Any single time they're trying to sell you anything, they always sell it as anti-white supremacy and pro people of color. Anytime you hear that, you need to go read the fine details every single time. And I'm not just saying this, I have proven this over time. Okay? Same thing with same thing with gun violence. They don't give a crap about what be going on in these inner cities, okay? They don't care. Some of these places have been so run down and riddled with crime because of the exacerbation of government overreach. They do not care, right? But as soon as it's in a country concert in Vegas, right? Now we need a little concern going on here. We got people that look like Joe Biden died. Oh, we can't have that. Now, what are they gonna do for a control? They're gonna pretend, oh, we gotta save y'all from these white supremacists. We gotta, the white supremacy. We gotta protect you from the white supremacy because we pro people of color. And then when you go look at the data, the math, the stats, every single thing that's on paper says that gun control actually affects Black people the worst at at a larger scale. But you will have a person like T.I. out of all people that'll go on national platforms and say, I just don't think the white boys with. Bro, didn't you go to jail on gun charges? What that you? Now all of a sudden you got a different position. Now all of a sudden you really think the same people that hemmed you up, they only gonna come for the white boys with their AR-15s. That's really what you think after spending your time for getting hemmed up for gun charges. That's the logic we following here. Like, come on, man. Now they're about to do it with the climate change. It's going to be the same tactic. Oh, we're doing this for people of color. We got to come in and protect people of color. No, you want to tax people. You want to tax people. You want to tax people more for the water and the air that you're probably not going to fix, because we know in a lot of ways the government wastes money. It's a lot of money laundering that goes on. So in a lot of instances, you will have these situations not even be fixed, but they'll never come out and say, we want to tax you more. They're not going to say that. So what are they? Oh, we want to save the people of color because we love y'all. And, even though, that whole thing in Flint, and, we've just moved on with life, but we really want to make sure that, climate change, because we know y'all don't like to be hot like that. And it's for the people. And the whole time it's just a tax scheme. It's just a tax scheme. And I'm basing this on actual stats and data that we've looked at uh um compared to other countries, right? We remember France, and I talked about that heavily with the the rebellion that they were having over there with the gas tax that was impacting and hurting the middle class. But I mean, you know, hey. Thank you, Go Saints. Thank you for the super chat. But yeah, y'all, just be real weary, you know, because I think they like to manipulate people's emotions, right? It's a hot button topic, and I understand that you actually have some people that have not so pleasant experiences as it relates to race dealings and things like this. However, you have to take note when your politicians, and not even just your politicians, but your corporations, are not only in some regards exacerbating, but 100% manipulating, right? Whether it be for their personal benefit, financial benefit, political or career benefit. I mean, I'm just calling it. This is just based on what I've seen and the results. All this, oh, we're gonna come in and save y'all. We're gonna do this. Where's the results? Where's the results from that? To all the people who bought firearms last year, you be lost in the mind to give up your arms. LOL. Right. Last year showed us more than any time. And it's this video floating around that I actually need to repost on my Instagram. But how during Hurricane Katrina, how you literally had people in the military going around confiscating firearms. Now, I don't know if y'all remember at that time, I was very familiar with it because New Orleans is not that far from me. But people were being like raped, like just like out in the open. People were being taken advantage of. People were being murdered, like all type of things. And it doesn't help when you have a group of people that are distraught or in desperation, but then you also have bad people that are going to take advantage in situations like that. And you literally had the military at this time, a lesser known story, going around door to door, confiscating firearms. If you don't think it could happen, you think it could never happen, you're wrong. And guess what those military personnel did? We're just doing our job. We're just doing our job. Don't put anything past these people. I don't think most of us thought what we saw last year could have happened to the extent that it did. You had cities, possibly states, being sued because they were trying to call firearms non-essential, even though we saw crime spiking like crazy. around the time they were putting half the country out of jobs. Anti-status. Get your shirt in a link below. Healthy skepticism, man. Healthy skepticism. They've tried to play us in so many ways and in so many aspects, and we keep giving them room. We keep giving them room, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, y'all, you got to keep your eye on these people. All the "we're gonna hold them accountable" people have completely disappeared. I don't know where they went. The blue checks and all that. I don't know what happened to these people. Um, but Hey, Mr. Woosah, Gray said, "Is there a cheaper way to practice shooting at the range? I'm trying to get comfortable before purchasing a nine." So something that's really great to do is dry firing. So dry fire is when you are actually practicing anywhere, but I guess it would typically be in your home. So removing all of your ammo, and I just put my ammo in a totally different room, right? Because that's just the precautions I take. It's a safety thing, and also when you get in the habit of doing stuff. But dry firing, and this is, you can YouTube it, you can Google it. The information is everywhere. But it's basically working on your technique, drawing from your holster. It kind of builds you getting used to, like, maneuvering, pulling your trigger and things like that. And then once you go to the actual range, you can use less ammo, because dry firing helps you be more consistent and things like that. It's kind of like a muscle memory type thing. So that's something I would highly recommend if you have concerns about ammo and things like that. Also, you do have some businesses now that have like these simulation type things where you can shoot at a virtual target. Some of the simulations have recoil, which is when that fire on when you shoot and it kind of cycles back. Some of the simulations have the recoil, some don't. I'm not super familiar on the pricing of that. I really don't know. I have no clue. I might be saying something that goes totally against what you're saying. It may be more expensive than a firearm. I don't know, or it could be cheaper. But that's an option. It may actually be cheaper than buying a lot of ammo, a lot of ammo over time. So, just some suggestions. But all right, y'all. So let's keep moving. Let's jump right quick into. I wanted to talk about this. I think y'all can see my screen. Okay. I want to briefly talk about this. So, transgender woman wins a Miss Nevada USA pageant title. Okay. So, this is Catalana. A transgender woman has won a Miss Nevada USA title for the first time in the pageant's history. Catalana Enriquez now advances to represent the state in the National Miss USA competition scheduled for November 29th. Enriquez beat out 21 women for the designation, according to the Las Vegas Review Journal. One thing that is important for me is inclusive, y'all know what I'm trying to say. Inclusiveness, okay? Diversity and representation. It's something I did not have growing up, and it's still lacking in today's world, said Enriquez. Today, I am a proud transgender woman of color. I didn't see that much color. Oh, she's like Hispanic. Okay. I was gonna say I ain't see no color in that picture, but Uh today I am a proud transgender woman of color. Personally, I've learned that many differences do not make me less than. It takes more than that. So, Y'all see her, Miss Catalana. Y'all see kind of what's going on here. I will say from the pictures that I've seen, I would absolutely not know that this was a transgender person. Off top, I just wouldn't. I also have acquaintances and friends that are in the LGBT community, and you have people that, I mean, you just wouldn't know, right? And so I think that this is a situation here, and a part of the reason that allowed this person to advance to winning this title. Now, uh, some of the things or some of the concerns that I have is that I support personal freedom for adults, right? Even in instances where I may not agree, because I was having this conversation with a friend the other day, and they were asking me about like people shooting. The conversation went to something else. We were talking about people shooting heroin and all this other stuff. Um, in no way or shape or form do I ever think that people should be put in jail or punished for personal choices, nor do I even think that people should be like bullied or ostracized or shown violence towards. I do not think that in any regard. When you have an adult, this person is able to make the choice that they want to make, particularly for Christian people. um the Bible and God was kind of all about like giving people choice. You can take this route or you can do this route, but there are consequences, right? And even in life, we see that, like me talking earlier about that mom who chose to vaccinate her 12 year old child with this experimental inoculation, and now that child is in a wheelchair and having all these other complications. Okay. Now, so I want to preface with that. However, I do not think that we're having on a large scale, I would say, a very open and honest conversation in a forward thinking way. Okay. So when I say this, first of all, let's acknowledge the fact that it was only I don't even remember the year, but it was when Obama was in office, which was not that long ago, okay, that you had a gay marriage that was legalized or allowed. Okay, during that time, the slogan, the mainstream narrative at that time is we just want to love who we want to love. Okay, that was the pretenses that this was supposedly done under. Here we are, not even a few years later, and you literally have them wanting to teach children, and already in some cases teaching children that a man is a woman and a woman is a man, and there is no difference between a woman and a man. Now, I am of the belief that this goes way deeper than most people are willing to admit, because even in a lot of ways we have removed the sanctity, the delicateness, the honor, the support of women. We have reduced it so much so in some instances you have men hitting on and treating women in public spaces like their equals, like their peers. We're not even, and I know this goes I'm kind of going more into something a little different, but I'm going to bring it back in a second. There are consequences for no longer allowing our sons, or whoever, brothers, to see women as delicate and worthy of being loved and valued and esteemed. That is having a psychological effect on our culture, whether people want to admit it or not. The boldness that some of these people are having for treating women, and it's been straight men, I've seen gay men, and trans women. Okay, I'm talking about beating down actual women in public. Not only that, bold, and people around just acting like it's just another day. The people around aren't even fazed by it, they don't even flinch. And then even in a um even in a professional space, even in a professional space, we've allowed people that were born as men to crack the skull of a woman. This is absolute delusion, to be in a position where they are trying to push the fact that one day, and it ain't gonna be me, because y'all know how I feel about the public school system, that there's no difference between men and women. Now, the trajectory of that, the long terms of effects of that. First of all, y'all are going to eventually see a heavy mixture in your television programming. So y'all know, if you've been rocking with me for a while, you know I do not watch TV like that. Not only is most of it absolutely mind numbing, adds no value, I feel like it's a absolute waste of time. You could be building something, creating something, learning something with that time. They are about to create an entire situation where, when you used to see the booty popping and the booty shaking, and I don't watch that stuff anyway, but just follow me, videos with women, and you could know that they were women, and you're looking at women. They're about to start sneaking uh uh um you know trans people in there, right? I saw somebody talk about how on P Valley, that's a show I do not watch, I have no interest in watching, but I saw people having a conversation about on Twitter about how on this show they will switch back to back, right? So we know some of these shows are being more LGBT friendly these days and things like that. But a blatant switch from a sex scene with a heterosexual couple to right after is no storyline difference, is no split, it's no transition going into a homosexual acts. There is going to be this whole we're all the same, it doesn't matter, love who you love, is going to be blended. And whether people want to admit it or not, the mind is fragile. And please don't sit here and tell me the mind is not fragile. I remember seeing how girls acted when that Katy Perry "I Kissed a Girl and I Like This Song" came out. I saw it with my own freaking eyes. Media, entertainment, pop culture, cheap plug, entertainers are not leaders. Their shirt is available in my description box below. This stuff is a gateway to your thought processes. Do you know why a lot of the old school leaders and people like Malcolm X and a lot of other people will always talk about reading? Reading opens your mind up to other possibilities, other ideas, and things like that. You don't think that TV does the same thing? If you've done any research, right, on porn, how porn affects the mind, affects the individual, and things like that, they talk about how literally over time your mind is programmed. You are desensitized to the stuff that you are seeing. It literally changes your brain activity, where the stuff that used to satisfy you or used to maybe appease you or used to offend you or used to surprise you evolves over time. So are we really going to sit here and pretend? I just hate the pretending. I hate the pretending. I hate the lies. Can we just be honest and say that yes, music affects people? Yes, TV affects people. Y'all go wear the clothes they wear. You wear that your hair like them. They say a phrase. Before you know it, all of us saying Nene Leaks or Donald Trump's or Kanye West's latest, hottest phrase. We're buying Do Say because Beyonce shouted it out in her song. We really, I mean, it's even common now where on social media, women can pull out their full freaking butt cheek. And it's just, social media. Mm, yeah, whatever. It's a very consistent programming that is happening. And to say that does not make me any type of isist, ism, or phobiist, or anything else. Why we cannot just be honest people and say, yes, television and radio affects people, especially at a young age. You can literally, you can, children to me from about the ages 4 to 8, or maybe 3 to 8, are so freaking precious. So precious. And if you have children, if you've worked with children in this age range, they're like little sponges. They soak up the information around them. They ask so many questions. They're inquisitive. They're curious. And those years, and I'm probably not saying the exact years, but this is based on science. Those exact years, based on the things that happen in that child's life, are going to create the trajectory for their personality and the foundation of who they are. They're like sponges. They just soak up the information around them and they learn so quickly. Now ask yourself why they want to talk about sexuality and masturbation when these children should be learning about the world around them, science, math. Teach these children a freaking new language. And you want to sit up here and have a conversation about masturbation? And as somebody, and I'm not just saying this, if you on social media, if you're on Instagram, Twitter, you know, y'all been seeing this stuff of what they're trying to push into schools. And I told y'all, and it started, and it's been started, but in California last year, it was getting really bad. And you had some of these parents protesting it. I think that was like last year or the year before, and we talked about it. And from my experience, and if you actually talk to a lot of social workers, psychologists, all these people in that profession, when you have a child, yes, you're going to possibly have some children that just happen to be so curious and inquisitive. Yes, it may happen one out of however many times. But more times than not, if you have a child at that age that is talking about sexual things, that child is most likely, I don't care if you believe that child to be straight, gay, other, plus whatever. That child is most likely a victim of sexual abuse. This is the absolute truth. People love science until it's a science they want to ignore. Not only is it based on that, even my previous experience working with children, right? And seeing some of those children who would turn out to be very promiscuous or lead their lives by their sexuality. Their whole persona is their sexuality. That's all about them. They're sexy. They want to always promote something sexual, a sexual thing. Their sexuality is the biggest thing they present to the room. They think it's who they are. I've oftentimes been a victim of sexual abuse, right? Um, So over time, you're going to start to see a mixture of this in your programming, your children's programming. Okay. I was walking through, this was like a couple months ago. And this child was watching a cartoon. And I'm like, I don't even know what the cartoon is. And it was, I just saw this husky black man on the cartoon wearing a pink dress. This huge pink dress. This is a freaking cartoon. Wearing his pink dress. Not only was he wearing his pink dress, he was serving the white and Asian. He was the only person in this scene of the cartoon that I saw. He was serving the white and Asian cartoon characters as a part of a dare. This was the theme of this particular cartoon. What message? What? We have a husky black man, older black man in a dress. Not only that, you have the nerve in this dare. And I'm assuming the dress is a part of the reason. The dare was a part of the reason why he was wearing a dress. But I see you serving food trays, clipping the toenails of the white and Asian characters. We gotta pay attention, y'all. We gotta, because I'm telling you, you gotta be careful with the books. Some of this stuff I've seen in these children's books, they will mix it in and put it in so quick. And if you are not hands on, if you don't know what's going on, they will slip it right under your nose and you won't even know. They'll put it in children's cartoons. They'll put it in children's themes. Don't even get me started on the actual image. Just from a image perspective, that's very sick and demeaning. this attack on masculine black energy. He was the only person in a cartoon that had muscles, but you want to humble him to these other characters and put him in a dress. So don't even get me started on the visual of even what I believe that will represent to a young black child. And so, you know, this transgender women winning you know, in this pageant, like I said, what's going to happen over time is you're going to have these people just being mixed in, and a lot of people are going to be able being pushed to believe or possibly think that they are what's the word for you when you just attracted to anybody? It don't even matter, just whatever goes. I don't know what's the name for it. I think Janelle Monáe was one of the people that said she was this, and I was like, girl, okay. Um, you know, but so let's move even beyond this. So first of all, it's the mixture in TV, right? The trying to blend the sexual aspects of, oh, if they're attractive, they're just attractive. Why would it matter that this woman has a penis? You think she's attractive, right? She's pretty. I mean, figure all that other stuff out later. Pansexual, that's the word I was trying to think about. Okay, so not only are we going to see more of a blending over that, going into time, and the sexual nature or expression aspects of it, right? Um, but what type of standard are we setting? And this is why when I say there's no forward thinking aspect of it, what type of standard are we setting for other things? So take a look at this, because a problem is when you don't have logic and you don't have a standard, anything goes. Anything goes. Anything goes. So let me show y'all this. This is not new, okay? This is not new. This video is not sponsored by Chick-fil-A. Anyway, um, so London Oli, London Oli, Londo Noli, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know this person like that. Oli, I think that's how you say it. Career change. Brit singer Oli London slammed for identifying as Korean after spending 150 euros, I think that is, on surgeries to look like a K-pop idol. Okay, this is the before picture. This is the after. All right. Now the same people was just, y'all was just, when everybody mad about the catfishing and, oh, these white women trying to look black and get the benefits of. This is before and after. So this is London Oli's page, and he, they, we, be, see, she, he, d, I don't know, says, I just want to set the record straight. It's Pride Month, and I've always struggled with identity issues and been confused about who I am as a person. I took the difficult and brave decision to come out as a non-binary and Korean to help millions of other LGBTQ young people around the world. K-pop fans and the Korean people feel confident enough to be able to feel no fear to be able to express themselves and how they identify. In South Korea, there are millions of unrepresented LGBTQI people. I don't even know what the I stands for, who are voiceless and who often face being ostracized from society and sometimes even being rejected by their own family. I want to be a beacon of light. This just goes on and on and on. Uh you know. Now, something that I want to point out, he said, I've always struggled with identity issues and been confused, right? I think that's a real thing. I absolutely 100% believe that you have people that have gender dysphoria, right? This is where the problem comes in at. When we are being told to believe and accept that people's identity issues and confusion we should cave to, right? If you want to exist as this Korean person, if you want to exist in this world as a non-binary person, as an adult, you are absolutely 100% free to do that. However, now when we talk about scholarships, when we talk about grants for women, right? When we talk about grants for women, when we talk about scholarships, when we talk about spaces for women, when we talk about spaces, grants, scholarships, the consensus, the medical system for Korean people or women. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Are we going to completely dismiss and delude? Because even the concept of, oh, well, it's just a social construct. Everything is a social construct. We've all agreed that the sky is blue. When technically, oh, well, the sky's blue, is white, evening time, maybe a little purple and pink, right? But we've socially accepted and constructed. If somebody ask you on a test, you're probably gonna say the sky is blue. There are literally people that exist with 11 fingers, 12 fingers. We have socially accepted due to stats and data of the majority of people. If somebody asks you how many fingers do people have, you're going to say 10. Okay? There are people born with the extra toe. We don't make the exception a rule. We say, hey, people have 10 toes. Now we are literally creating a situation where we're trying to make the exception the norm. And if you call it out, if you say something about it, you're the bad guy. And people are not even assessing the long term effects for this. All that affirmative action stuff, you can throw that, and you probably could have been thrown that right out the door anyway. Because what is it going to matter if people can just identify as how they feel? And also, you have no logic and no room for if somebody can identify as how they feel as a gender, then I know they can identify how they feel as a race. Who gonna stop them? What's gonna stop them? They literally, this guy in his mind feels, he knows. I knew it since I was 3 years old. I just knew I was Korean. I feel it. Everything about me. I love Korean food. I love Korean culture. I put on Korean clothes. So, of course, that makes me Korean. I wear the Korean attire, the cultural attire. I got to be Korean. It only makes sense. I wear pink. I feel like a girl today. I have to be a woman. I felt like this since I was 3, even though statistically, science shows and my pelvis is tilted different. I can't physically produce children, right? Uh, my hands are statistically bigger. I statistically, by stats, have more muscle. But to actually say these things, makes you the enemy, makes you some type of ist, obia, ism, when it's just simple, absolute truth. And then the even part that just really doesn't make sense to me, right? Because even based on stats, science, if we're being perfectly honest, I've seen data that suggests that if, which I absolutely 100% disagree with, but in the event that they've done these studies on where children start to transition like super duper early, then yes, you do have more cases where um uh you kind of close the gap of some of those differences, right? But even in a society that we're living in right now on mainstream media, they'll tell you that, and I did a story about this not long ago. A person, 2 years ago, they decided they're a woman, even though they spent their entire career running track as a male. Now, 2 years ago, I'm a woman. They immediately, and I believe this was out any type of hormone blockers, but just because I feel like a woman, now I can not only compete with women, right? But actually compete for those scholarships in those spaces as well. I think we have to have a really honest conversation about not even just the surface level. Oh, well, it's about feelings, right? It's about making somebody feel validated. First of all, you don't need me to feel validated. You shouldn't. That's a insecurity issue. That's an insecurity issue, particularly if it's a stranger. Like that. Like to me, that's a non-issue. You don't need a stranger to validate you, right? If you feel like you're this person, a stranger shouldn't stop you from feeling that way. Like I know who I am. There's nobody that can be like, oh, you're not this person. Like no, right? But I think it's more so about the conversations of how this is going to impact our education systems, how is going to impact entertainment and media going forward, how this is going to impact the treatment of women, how this is going to impact the success or the spaces for women. And I'm glad Grace brought this up. I think she's talking about what I was thinking about. She said that's what happened at the We Spa, shaking my head. So it was this video floating around where this woman comes up to this counter at a spa. I think it was in California, y'all. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, I think it was in like California. And she comes up to the desk and she's very irate, and she says that we're at a spa and it's a person walking around in the women's area with their penis out, right? And this person, LA, thank you, because I wanted to say LA, but I'm like, let me give them a little room because it's very LA-ish. Okay, let's just keep it real. But she comes up to the desk irate, and like this person, I don't give a crap because this person has on a wig. They're literally walking around in women's spaces with their penis out. You know what happens? The people at the desk just act all casual, like they don't even give a crap that I feel violated as a woman. Not only that, but guess who walks up to this woman in her personal space and addresses her? A man. A man. A man walks up to her and asks her and tries to debate her, almost passive aggressive, confrontational, and he says, he says something to the effect of, I'm not quoting him directly, but are you being a bigot? Are you being transphobic? So now this woman who in previous history, women have been valued and delicate and special, and now we're going to undermine how she feels violated as a woman. We're going to undermine her to elevate a man, because this person is walking around with a penis in women's spaces. We're going to completely negate, just screw believe all women. That didn't last long. There's no standard. There's no distinction. Even as simply put as, you ain't even transitioned. You haven't even transitioned. And you're allowed to be in women's spaces because of how you feel, even when it violates my personal space or the expectations that were created, saying this is a space for women, and you're walking around with body parts that men are born with, scientifically, statistically. So screw the woman, screw how she feel. We're going to elevate this man's feeling above hers, even in that type of uh violation of space. And nobody thinks this backwards. Nobody. How is that? Please explain to me how that's not male privilege. To be able to not only dominate in some of these women's spaces, cover up or reduce women's voices, compete with women, break the skulls of women, and sometimes, in some respects, almost being domineering, telling women how they supposed to feel when you're encroaching on their spaces. Any other time in history, it was just a few years ago when people was pulling out their Peter Whacker on the subways and stuff. Y'all remember that? And it was all these stories about they would have these stories about men sending nudes on social media. They should be held accountable. They should do time for this. And now you can just hey, feel like a woman, you a woman, right? All right, you good. It's all good. Like, so the whole time that women were getting mad because they were getting flashed on the subways and things said to their DM. So if the dude would have said, hey, I identify as a woman, it's all good now? Don't even get me started on a violation that we've created for men in a lot of ways to be violated or to be handled in a certain way that we wouldn't typically let women do. And what I say about that is, like, for example, I saw a clip of this interview the other day where Safari was during this interview, and uh Safari was doing this interview, and the guy that was interviewing him made like sexual remarks. Think there's gonna be outrage when people get online and they say men that don't like trans women are transphobic, so everybody else get to pick who they are attracted to, but men have to date. I never hear people telling women If you don't date a trans person, you're transphobic. Why this such heavy push on focusing on men's sexuality and like it's you know from whether we're emasculating men, like I talked about in a children's cartoon, where we put this the only person with muscles in the entire cartoon, a strong black man, and we put him in a dress, right? Whether it's that or even trying to create this narrative that the the people that just want to be straight and want to do their own thing, they can't have a preference, but everybody else can. How that makes sense? And it's only a matter of time before it gets bad. And you're going to have some of these people that are going to be more like, they're going to be more outward and aggressive. And you're going to have, just like how council culture is now, you're going to have it move into the sexual realm. So it'll be like, oh, you don't want to date such and such, or you don't want this type of situation, you're transphobic. Grace said trans men aren't even causing issues. It's the trans women. So is that male privilege in some ways? And is that also showing some of those more domineering aspects still underlying being there? To like, what are we talking about here? To come over in these spaces and try to take over. And as far as the lady in the pageant, it's not my pageant. I don't watch pageants. I don't care about pageants. If those women were willing to go and compete against her, and the all the people on the board or wherever were okay with it, that's their thing. That's what they have going on. But to act like this is not going to evolve past what we're seeing, because this is just the beginning, and this is not going to grow, and this is not going to infiltrate other areas, and this is not going to affect people, I can't do it. I can't pretend that. I don't think that we've even approached a holistic way to talk about these things in a real way, when we're literally even saying that somebody that still has male parts, that may have a wig, that may have on a dress, that may feel some type of way, but has male parts, we're going to equate that to somebody that actually went through the process to to used to be a trans man, a trans woman, a transsexual. You actually had to transition. I don't know if that's controversial for me to say that. And even some people, this Lil Nas X just performed at the BT Awards, right? And it was this whole kissing thing. And I don't watch award shows. I don't care. It's propaganda. They're rarely good. So I just don't watch them, right? But even some people trying to, oh, y'all just saying this because you're homophobic. Did you forget how much backlash that Megan and Cardi B got at the freaking whatever award show that they did? Like, have we really forgotten? Have we really forgotten when Miley Cyrus was parading around all on stage with her little cheeks out and her tongue out and grinding on Robin Thicke and all these other things? Some of the backlash that they got. There is some pushback on just sexualizing everything and everybody freaking leading with their sexuality and it being the biggest part of their personality or their actual personality. So don't even let people push you in some box of, oh, it's just because you're homophobic. Like, they want to sexualize the children so bad, man. They want to, um, they want to emasculate our boys and make our girls super promiscuous. And we need to call out both. We need to call out both. I believe that they're equally is bad. I don't prioritize one over the other. I believe that our youth are being led into confusion, and we know confusion leads to promiscuity. It leads to drugs. It leads to broken homes and a host of other things. When children are leading with their sexuality, it is not right. And I say this as somebody that has seen how it can ruin children's lives, including straight children, including LGBT children. Ruin their lives when they start to believe, when you put inside their head at a young age that they are just sex and they are to be used for sex, and sex is the most important thing, or we should prioritize sex or sexual themes, or it's their persona. So I do see recently here, I see some LGBT people actually coming out and talking about these things. And we need more. We need more people to go against these narratives, because if not, you're going to have a lot of people that just only are truth tellers, want the best for the children, want to protect the children, that are going to try to weaponize. They're already trying to weaponize that against you. They're already weaponizing your identity against you, because whether y'all don't realize it or not, you're almost being pushed to automatically off top look like the pedos, look like the people that are trying to push the sexual themes in the schools, looking like the people that are trying to inundate and beat people over the head with your sexuality. You're being made to look like that by the mainstream media. I do not always believe that's the case. I don't. I never saw that from just lived experience. It's just in this social media space and TV. It's like almost two different realities. But mainstream media is good for that. They do that with almost everybody's identity. They try to weaponize everybody's identity against them. But what we need is, we need more people to stand up and say, that's not my reality. I'm not cool with that. Just because I check off box A, B, and C, I don't believe in that. I don't rock with that. This is the truth with that. This is what I've experienced. I'm not allowing the TV to push this identity on me. So, but then I'll have people that'll inbox me, that'll DM me, that'll email me, and they say, Rhonda, I feel you, but people are scared. People are scared to be bullied. They don't want to be outcast. They don't want to feel like they're not a part of the group or the other, or, well, the media or social media told me if I'm this person, if I check off this box, I have to be this. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. If you don't stand for this, or if you're not cool with this, you're not a real queer. You're not a real LGBT. Whatever that means. Like, what? So many people, Grace, so many people are afraid to say something, and that's why we're losing. That's why we're losing. You don't have enough people because, believe it or not, the outliers, the radicals are the loudest. They're so loud. They're so loud. They're so loud, and we're being inundated by radicals. And you will have people that are experiencing life through the TV, and they really think, even the idea, even being represented, right? A lot of times that all gay people are highly, extremely super sexual or flamboyant. That's a narrative. That is something that's being shown to us, and like people don't have a concern about that. And you know like I said, they do it to every group of people. They've done it. They're gonna tell you, I'm a black woman. I'm promiscuous. I'm loud. I'm uneducated. I done had however many abortions. I don't need no man. I'm so independent. I'm ratchet. All these other things. And then I believe in creating this counter culture, this counter space, this counter narrative that says, I'm not who you say I am. I am who I say I am. And not only am I going to be loud and vocal about that, because I know it's a lot of people out there that be watching and they never going to say nothing because of their job, because of their friends, and they friends probably thinking the same thing the whole time. Not gonna say anything because they scared to be ostracized. They scared to step outside of what's being presented to them, not even knowing what's being presented to them is actually the radical message. It's not that if you talk to your neighbor down the street, a lot of the times people don't even, I mean, that's if you actually talk to people in real life though. You know. But anyway. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for walking with me every Tuesday. Thank you so much to everyone who super chatted. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you to my VIP patrons, Ray and Daniel. If you do not have your anti-status tee, make sure you click the link below and go ahead and um grab those. But yeah, y'all, the theme is let's just be on our P's and Q's, because even at the beginning I showed this media of I showed this survey of the faith in the media kind of dwindling over time, and that's for a reason. That's for a reason. And if you're one of those people, don't feel bad, because we're being pushed from every side and every angle with some type of agenda and programming and propaganda is absolutely happening. And just driving down the street will show you that. Look at all the billboards. Buy this, do this, believe in this, you know. So, but all right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. We'll talk soon. Bye.